Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, September 18th, 2023. Yep, we are halfway through September. You know what that means, though? We've got, what, October, November, December, and then y'all can start sending me Christmas presents. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. Um, as you saw by my title, the way I look at it, at this point, summer is over. Granted, there's still some good weather to be had. There's still some stuff we can do and enjoy, the cooler weather. But fall is coming. And I know me personally, I like that. I like fall. Fall and spring are my two favorite seasons. And we're feeling it in the air right now. The temperatures are down. I think I was looking earlier. Currently, it's like around 70 some odd degrees. And the low overnight's been, 60s. And then the high is around 80, 82. I think it might get up to 86 sometime later this week, but that's still a decline from where we've been. And that's fantastic. That is fantastic. I know for me, I like to have outside air, have the door open, get some airflow in here. It does get dusty and it does get smoky when I'm welding and stuff like that, but I like to have fresh air. So, hope you all had a good week. I'm sure many of you, I hope many, or if not all of you, or most of you, maybe some future viewers, have seen the latest video. And I was working on the Detroit Speed mini tubs. And, we're kind of at a interesting point because the mini tubs, the way the kit is designed, is you basically have an existing car that everything is installed already, and then you cut away stuff to put in the mini tub and the modified frame and all that sort of thing. Now, it would be nice to be able to demonstrate that, but in my case, I'm still in the middle of the car, but I think it was a good opportunity to show more of the details. I looked at the video on Detroit Speed on YouTube. It's okay. I mean, they do an overview, they give you some rough details, and it works. But there are some things they don't tell you, and some things you just, you have to kind of figure out on your own. And I tried to cover all that stuff. Now, the point of stopping where I did at this point is we are still debating on what we're going to do as far as possibly widening the quarter panels. So I could, and I very well may, weld in the quarter panels at this point, or I may do preparation work, let's say on the flange for the wheelhouse and the quarter panel, maybe make that ready to weld, and then weld everything else in. I can weld the wheelhouse to the inner structure of the main side, but we have to look at what may come about with the widening. And if I have everything welded to the wheelhouse, then I have to cut things loose to get that back apart. Hope that makes sense where I'm coming at with this. So we're still kind of at a transitional moment, let's say, and I think it's going to be really cool. I mean, once we get everything figured out and lined up, it's going to be really cool to get it together. So let's see who is here tonight. First one in, Rick Stevenson. Good evening, everyone. Glad you're here, Rick. And when Rick shows up, I have to start with my coffee. Thank you, Rick. Terry Keithley checking in. Good evening, all, and Barry. Please hit the thumbs up and like button. Thank you kindly. Yes. Thank you, Terry. That is so important. And I know I try to point that out anytime that I'm making a video or a live stream. Hitting that like button, leaving comments, all that helps with the algorithm for YouTube to promote my videos. I am seeing a slight uptick on views and stuff like that, but I need more help. I just need more help to keep that momentum going on these different videos. I know I don't put out as many videos as some other people. I don't put out 2 or 3 a week. I usually put out one really good video at the end of the week. There is some other things I have to deal with soon. One is, I talked about it previously, I have to do a video on this analyzer. So that'll be coming out I'll probably have to do that soon, like within the next couple days. Do that top dawn, OS, engine, car analyzer system. And what do I want to say? I can't think of the word. The scan tool. So I have to do a video on that and get that up for them because they provided me with the tool. So look forward to doing that. Rick Gain, cold, rainy, miserable day here in New Jersey. Hope everybody's doing well. Well, not cold, but colder than it has been. Yes, temperature is going down. I know that they had the hurricane something travel up the East Coast, and they kept saying it was going to do this and do that. And I really don't know how much, if there was damage or not. I don't know, but I know it was supposed to travel up there and cause problems. Raleigh Pacheco, hello from Hampton, Virginia. Was a nice 60 degrees this morning. That is nice. That is nice. And when it gets colder, you can just keep it. Just 60 is good. I like that. Maybe 50, 60, that's good. Ed Cucciarella, hello all. Hello, Ed. Glad you're here. Busted Knuckle Garage, Tommy checking in. Alabama checking in. Hope everyone is doing well. Great video last week. Thank you. Thank you, Tommy. I appreciate that. I was with some friends this week, and they were commenting. They said that they were in L.A., and they were talking about the cost of bacon. Okay? And I said, L.A., and then they said, for one, now I don't know if it's true or not. They said for one strip of bacon in L.A., it's $7 for one strip of bacon. And I said, oh, L.A., you're not talking about Lower Alabama. And they said, no, definitely not Lower Alabama. But I couldn't imagine. $7 for a strip of bacon out on the leftist coast? No, can't do that. Roger checking in, Hindsight 6-7, greetings from next door. Glad you're here, Raj. And we have Dave Tyson, good evening all. Glad you're here, Dave. Jerry checking in, hi Barry, howdy all. I almost made Robert late, but getting him to show me a college football video, it didn't work, have fun. Okay, well, I was almost late myself. We have an issue. The coffee maker is on the fritz. Now, I've been doing, maybe some of you have seen in my Facebook post, my wife got me started doing on pour-over coffees, right? I don't know if you've ever done that, but I like it. It's got a good flavor. It's almost as quick as doing a regular coffee. But normally when I'm coming out to this, I make it in the coffee maker. The same, it's like not a Keurig, but it's something where you can put your coffee in a strainer, pop it in, close it up, hit the go button, and that thing has been fighting us for several months now. So I had to improvise. I ended up taking the strainer that was in the coffee maker, pulled it out, and set it on top of my coffee cup, my cup here, let it sit on top of it, and it was sitting down in, and I was dumping water onto it and trying to get wet. But I got coffee. But it wasn't pretty. Bob Shoemaker, good evening from Dry, Oklahoma. Spent 2.5 hours mowing my dirt this afternoon, feeling a bit itchy. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mowed yesterday, thankfully. Weather was fantastic. Yesterday evening, got that mowing done. Robert, summer still has another few weeks to go. It's still mid-90s at home, but very nice here in Ohio. Not looking forward to going back to summer weather. Yeah. Well, Texas is a whole different country. So, yeah, I don't know what happens out there. Glad you're here, Robert. Todd DeBlocker, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Todd. You must be either on in the Midwest or West for it to be afternoon, but I'm glad you're here. I don't know. I guess Eli Cicia Flores is my guess. Or Ellie. I don't know which. Nice job. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Crash Rider. Good evening, everyone. It's a beautiful day here in southern Indiana, but unfortunately, I'm a little under the weather. I won't be able to participate. Be sure to give the DOG a like. See ya. Well, I was glad you checked in anyway. Sorry you're under the weather. Maybe you can listen in later or something. Dawn's Manufacturing, hello all from Sunny PDX, sent a Betsy pic. You know, I was looking at, I hope it's the one that I think it is. Yep. I was scanning through YouTube and that popped up, that video. I didn't get a chance to watch it. But I did see it and I was like, ooh, that car is looking so good. So good. So since you did that, I'm going to go ahead and pull that up, Dawn. Here it is, and poof. Man. Is that out at your brother's place? That must be at your brother's place. That's looking so good, Dawn. You get 5 bells for that. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah. I could just look at that for a few minutes, but I'm going to have to pull that down so I can get back to the stream. Todd, what's your address for Christmas presents? You know, I actually do have I have a P.O. box. I have a P.O. box that people have sent me stuff to. So I could post that if need be. I can post that. Thanks for asking. Todd, you're in Georgia. You have summer all year long compared to North Central PA. That is accurate. However, I grew up in mid-central Pennsylvania, and I can tell you that the weather has changed a lot over the years. Growing up there, being raised in the 70s, we had incredible snowstorms. Get snowed in completely. Just a mess. I think I have some old pictures that I had shared before from I don't know if they're still on here or not. Yeah, this would be from the late maybe early 70s. Some of the snow that we experienced up at the junkyard, and my dad having to use the tank to get things. You can see how much snow is there. That's probably in the mid 70s. I remember these tremendous snowstorms we used to have, and my dad would get the tank out with a plow on the front there to clear stuff. Yeah, lots and lots of snow in the 70s. It's changed quite a bit. I know we've been up there before, and it's like it's not even that bad. So kind of surprising. Raleigh, putting my 67 up in the air this weekend to start taking out the interior. Hope to get the floor pans in before December. Yeah, that's doable. That's pretty doable. That sounds like something I should make a road trip for, right? Come give you a hand doing that. That would be nice. That would be nice. Paul. Paul. I don't know. Paul Perpingen. Perpingen? That's what I'm going to say. Hey, Paul. Glad you're here. Sebastian De Silva. Good evening to everyone. Well, thank you. And same to you, Sebastian. Glad you were here. Steve Reed. Hey, Joe Daddy and everyone. Great work you're doing on the Fastback. Thank you. I appreciate that. Charles. Finally made it. Having trouble with internet today. Like and subscribe. Definitely. Thank you, Charles. Out here in the garage. I love that. That's a very nice. I like that idea. I'm out here in the garage. Ken in Tennessee back out in the garage after some health issues. Well, that is a great thing that you're back out in the garage. Sorry to hear you had health issues, but I'm glad you're back out there. So I'll give you an extra bell for that. Colin, hey everybody, nice fall weather up here in New York. Perfect for working on the car. I'm sure it is. Yeah, you can't beat the fall weather. Just really can't. Richard Vogel. Good evening, Barry. Loved the last video. Thank you, Richard. And Richard did get his hat. He gave me confirmation that he received his hat, so that's cool. Terry Keithley. Hi, Jerry. Good game last Saturday. Rough one coming next week. Go Buckeyes. Okay. Nandu. Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing good. Glad you're here, Nandu. And her scrambler says nice color. Yeah, let me pull that up again. That I don't know. Don can tell us. I know he had that color custom mixed, and it looks different there, even than it does in his videos, because sunlight plays a lot on the colors on these cars. That's for sure. I know it has kind of a, and I don't want to use the wrong term. It's kind of a root beer kind of look to it in some angles. But yeah, that car looks fantastic. Fantastic. Jerry's talking to Terry. Richard says roar. Glad to hear, Richard. Evening all. Yep, evening to you. And Dave Conville's checking in. Glad to hear, Dave. Hope everything is good up in New Jersey. Richard, 1993 March, there was snow all the way to Florida. Northern blast from Canada hit. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had snow here in Georgia. We had some in 92. Maybe it was 93. 92, 93. We had if you get snow in Georgia, that's something. And in Florida, obviously. I think that year we had about 8 inches of snow in a driveway. Funny story about that. Funny story. Now, I grew up in Pennsylvania, and anybody who grows up north, we all do the parking lot skids and slides and donuts and in the wintertime. We all do it. I think all of us did it and probably still do it. Take advantage of that parking lot. And for me, it's like a learning experience. You get out there and you try something and see what happens. And then whenever you have an incident on the road, you kind of get a feel for how to react to it. So, funny story about that. I started working for Delta in June of 91. And late that year, I think mid-late that year, I ended up buying a 91 Chevy Silverado half-ton with a 4.3 and a V6 and a 5-speed. It's like the cheapest truck you could get. But it was black with red interior. I really liked that truck. It was fun. It was cool. And so when it snows in Georgia, everything shuts down. I mean, they just forget it, stay home, don't do anything. And I was working midnight shift out at Delta, and it had snowed, and we had 8 inches of snow, which is unheard of in this area. And so we had just moved into our house, didn't even have a snow shovel, or any kind of shovel, anything. And I found a piece of plywood in the garage, and basically I went out of my driveway and I scooped out snow out of my driveway and I threw it in the back of my almost brand new truck. So I filled up the bed of my truck with snow. And then I drove basically about 20 miles to the airport to go to work. And this was at midnight shift. So this was 11 or 10 o'clock at night. I leave and I notice there are no tracks anywhere. 8 inches of snow and there's no tracks. Nobody has driven anywhere. And I drive all the way up to work, and I'm slipping and sliding a few spots. I get all the way up there, and I show up. I walk in, I punch my time card, and they're all looking at me like, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Work. It's my schedule. I'm supposed to be here." And they said, "But yeah, how did you get here?" "Well, I drove my truck." They all looked at me like I was nuts. They said, "There's no way." I said, "There's no other way to get here, But everybody else there, they just basically stayed until the next morning, that afternoon when the snow melted and everybody could leave. It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. Let's see. Sebastian, spring is coming here in Uruguay. Hope to have some more time to work the Benzes. Okay, that sounds good. Dawn says late afternoon sun, color just popped. Yeah, it looks good. Sebastian says nice color, looks like maroon. It does in that light. It kind of gives a maroon look to it. Colin, any tips for figuring out if you need heavier weight springs on front end? Front sags a lot and can't tell what weight rating is on the ones in the front end. Very little bounce after adjusting up 2 inches. Very little bounce. How did you adjust it up? Is probably the question. And I can't give you a good answer on the springs. I know a lot of times you can measure the diameter of the spring coil itself, and that might give you some indication, but it's really hard to say. And not knowing if they are original already or aftermarket, it's really hard to give you an easy way to figure that out. I mean, I don't have a good answer. Maybe somebody else does, but we'll see if anybody else responds to that. Richard, I was deployed to deliver medicine, evac people to hospitals, etc. during that snowstorm in the Hills Mountains in Alabama. There were drifts 4 to 6 feet deep. Yeah, it was crazy. It was a really crazy storm. Ray Buckman, evening all. Evening, Ray. Glad you're here. Her Scrambler. Orders springs with air conditioning? Order springs. Okay, for a car that has air conditioning is what you're saying. I get it. Thank you for that. Oh, it says Colin says, I would love some AC in the car, and he has adjustable coil shocks. Okay. So if that's the case, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on those springs, because that sounds like aftermarket. If you've got coilovers, you're not going to put those kind of shocks in with stock springs. So I don't have an easy answer. But it says, any tips for figuring out if you need heavier weight springs on the front end? Okay, so if the front sags a lot and you cranked it up 2 inches already, then yeah, it's a good chance you may need to upgrade. And not knowing too what kind of weight you have up there. Like if you got I'm assuming like a 302 or a 289. But it's really hard to give you an easy answer. But I would say you probably need to upgrade. Rick Gaines says, hey, Don, what shade of blue is that? Yeah. Robert says you can have leaf springs re-arched at a spring shop for trucks. Not as much as new springs these days. Well, he's talking about coilover, or I mean, let me read that again. Heavier weight springs on the front end. Front sags a lot. So he's talking about the front end specifically. And Don found Rick's comment funny. Yes. Charles, 93, first and only time in Pensacola I was able to roll snow and build a snowman with my kids. Richard, AC is going to add less than 100 pounds. Forget the weight difference. Order for size of engine, V8 or 6-cylinder, etc. Yes. Good answer. Nick Moss is checking in. I don't know if he is... I was actually reviewing some pictures you had sent me, the ones I've already posted. And I don't know if there's any updates on the paint or what the status is on the car right now. But I'm ready to come take it for a drive. Just let me know. Michael Pagliarini, most coilover kits are color coded. That is a good point. Colin says, thank you. You're welcome. Doyle, do the GM A bodies have coil spring bushings in rear or just the top replaced or both top and bottom? That's a Robert question. I'm going to say they do. I'm pretty confident they do. But that's going to be a Robert question. He should know that one. So we'll let him chime in. You know, as we're talking about these things, and I'm working on this car and trying to get things put together, let me give you a word of advice. Okay, you know that I have vice grips and clamps out the wazoo. You know that. You see them all the time. I've got clamps everywhere, and I use almost all of them. I was so frustrated this past week because I am trying to fit this and test that and put things in place and all these different things, and there's nothing worse than having a cheap clamp that fights you every day. And so I've decided that these are garbage. Okay. If you go to Harbor Freight and you want to buy the Pittsburgh brand of clamps. Now I know you can do stuff to these. They talk about threading these and stuff like that. That's all well and good. I get it. But I had the little spring fall out while I was trying to use it. I had the arm fall out. I'm trying to put things back together. And I had it on two different pair of these things. Okay. Now they charge, I think, I looked it up. These are like maybe $7 for these Pittsburgh brand clamps. And they're throwaways. As far as I'm concerned, they are throwaways. Go ahead and spend a couple extra bucks and buy these. Harbor Freight sells them. The brand is Bremen. Bremen. These are like butter. Okay? I have zero issue with these. These are probably, in my mind, pretty close to as good as the original vice grips. Because the original vice grips aren't vice grips anymore. Irwin bought that company, and then they kind of dropped it a little bit. They're not quite as good as they used to be. But these are $11 right now. Bremen. And these other ones, I think if I don't just throw them away directly, I may cut them up and make some sort of artwork out of them, like, I don't know, some sort of dinosaur thing or something. I don't know. I was so mad. I threw them both on the floor and I don't even want to see them anymore. I've got some of their smaller ones too. Same thing. You fight with the threads. And I don't want that. I want to have ready to go. I'm boom, boom. I'm clamping them. I'm not having to sit there and go back and forth. So save yourself the headache and just get the Bremen if you're going to go to Harbor Freight. They have another brand there that's another step up. I don't see the reason to spend the money on those. I forget what the brand name is. The Bremens are fine. Can't go wrong. That's my 2 cents on that one. Nick, I got the... wait a minute. You're messing me up with some of these words here. I got the... Oh, come... Nick, you're killing me. I guess I got a couple with wheels and other stuff on. I'll send them. Okay, so you got a couple pictures with wheels and other stuff on. It's getting glass installed now and bringing it home so I can finish off the small stuff soon. Okay. All right. So Nick's going to send me... Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to have to put these up. I can't wait to drive this car, Nick. I really can't. I know you promised me I could drive it. And I can't wait. That's going to be so cool. He said it. I know he said it. In the meantime, while I'm downloading that, check out the gas prices out in California. That was sent to me earlier. Because that it's up 60 cents, I think, from last week is what was said here. Hold on just a second. Because that was sent to me by Ed. He says 60 cents in 10 days. You know, it's funny. The gas in Georgia has gone down. It was $3.49 just like a week or so ago, or $3.39 or something like that. And I saw yesterday it was at $3.29. Or no, it was $3.19. I think it was $3.19 today. Yeah. All right, so let me pull down the scary gas price picture and put up the Nick picture. That looks so good. That looks so good, Nick. Let's look at it from this side too. Yeah. Yeah, you get some definite bells for that. That is sweet. I mean, Nick, that looks like it could go to SEMA, in my opinion. It looks really good. Very, very sharp. Very, very sharp. Robert is referring to Doyle. He says just at the top, none on the axle end. Talking about the coil springs in the rear. Richard says most GM coils only had rubber bushings on top if they sit in a shaped pocket on the bottom. Okay. Dave Tyson says you pay for what you get. That's exactly right when it comes to tools, for the most part. The thing is, I have snap-on wrenches, I have snap-on sockets and ratchets and breaker bar and a variety of stuff. I have Mac tools. I have a variety of those tools. The only reason that I have snap-on tools is a guy that I worked with decided he didn't want his big wrench set anymore. It was like 3/8 up to 1 inch. He didn't want that anymore, and he had a set of sockets, ratchet, breaker bar, and maybe some extensions. And he said, I'll never use these ever again. I don't do any kind of heavy work, blah, blah, blah. And I said, what do you want for them? And I think he wanted $80 for everything. $80 for all those wrenches, sockets, all that stuff. So that's why I currently have a nice snap-on set. But I also can tell you that I have a set of, I don't even know what they are, True Value metric wrenches that I have been using the same set of wrenches for probably 25 years. I put some serious torque on those things. I've done all kinds of stuff to them. They keep working. I don't have any issues with them. The only problem I had is I lost one. I was working on my daughter's Kia, fixing her brakes, and oddly enough, it had a number 11 something in there, and I was using it, and I dropped it. I didn't hear it hit the floor. I didn't hear it hit anything. I think it lives in the car now somewhere. So I can say, yes, you get what you pay for, but also sometimes you can get some good stuff that you don't pay a lot for. I'm not against buying stuff from Harbor Freight and whatnot, especially when you look at the prices of what they charge you for a Snap-on or a Mac or any of those other brands. But yeah. Wade Matchett. That's a different name. Haven't seen that before. What epoxy primer do you recommend? I use PPG. I have used, on one project, I used Summit brand, which I think somebody said it's like, I think Kirker or something makes that for Summit, I think. Don't quote me on that. But for the most part, I use PPG paints and primers, and that's what I stick with because I'm happy with what they offer. So, PPG. Nick should have a photo next week with bumper, mirrors, handles, etc. on. Probably not front end, and probably not front and rear glass though until I can get it or get someone to. Okay. Robert, for the coilover spring issues, contact King Performance. Their tech guy is very knowledgeable on what they have and what to use for installed height and PSI ratings. So there's an answer to the coil spring question. Hopefully you're still here and get that. Robert says I got gas for $3.07 the other day. Yep. Ray Buckman, we're barely $4. California is nuts. Yes, they are. The state is. Not all the people out there are nuts, though. Richard says, getting there. Nick, yep. Dave Tyson says, that's nice. Good looking car, Nick. Yeah, let me show that again. I mean, this is a really, really nice looking car. and it should be. It should be a really nice looking car. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to look so good. So good. All put together. Richard, I appreciate the heads up on the clamps. Anytime I can avoid a mistake at horrible freight, I'm happy. Yes. Yeah, don't buy the Pittsburgh brand clamps. I've had some of their other things, maybe Pittsburgh. I think I bought a wrench set once and I actually threw it away. I tossed it. But the Bremen brand are good. Very good. Ray Buckman says, very nice car. I think he means Nick, not Buck. But yeah. Um, Rick says, I like my collection of Peterson vice grips from the 70s. Whoa, never heard of them, but I'm sure they're good. Otherwise, you wouldn't still have them. Ray says, Nick. Sheesh, autocorrect, yeah. Terry Keithley, looks great, Nick. Thank you for showing us. Yes, definitely. Rick Ain, just heard an advertisement pop up telling me to buy a cabin air filter for my car. Just where does the cabin air filter go on a 65 Mustang? It goes in your mouth. You have to get one. It's a mask. It's like the 3M mask you put on when you have the windows down. Good question. Rusty's Restoration. Hey, Barry, I know I'm a little late tonight. Car looks hot, Nick. Yes, it does. Glad you're here. Nick, thank you, Barry and guys. I think once the trim and stuff is on it, it will look even better. I really can't wait to show you the front end. Once I get the headlights on it, Dane did good. Good. And Nick says his Mach 1-ish scheme was such a good idea. Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Wait. No, he says, sorry, not Mach 1, Boss 302. Okay. Richard, as a mechanic, I own Snap-on. Mac for everything that is important. Air ratchets, tools you do not use often. I buy cheap stuff. Yeah, and I get that. I do get that. You know, like I have a Mac Tools torque wrench that I use frequently. I have that. I do have a Snap-on 3/8 impact that I use frequently. I also have throwaway Harbor Freight 90 grinder and straight grinder and various other tools. You know, so I get that. Ray Buckman, I bought some clamps that were Cobalt brand. I suspect they are just a copy of Vice Grip. I don't even think. Well, I mean, everything is a copy of Vice Grip, but Cobalt. I've looked at those too, and I didn't like the. I think I had one set I bought, and the rubber grip thing. I cut all that off. I was like, I don't want this junk on here. I want to be able to, feel this in my hand and use it. I don't like that extra stuff on the handle of Vice Grips. Don's manufacturer says Wade PPG MP170 gets my vote. So there's a vote from Don on the epoxy. Doyle says I have a Craftsman set of sockets and ratchets I got in 1974 for my 16th birthday. I am still using a ratchet that has a push button release and center for sockets. Great quality back in the day. Yes, and my dad would buy Craftsman all the time. A lot of those tools would get lost in the junkyard. But he bought the Craftsman simply because you could take the ratchets back and get them replaced and that sort of thing. And, the quality isn't today what it was back then. That's for sure. I think we all realize that as well. Colin says, thank you, Robert. He'll reach out. Good. See, that's why we do this stuff. That's why we do this stuff. To share information and keep things moving, right? Michael, I'm glad my wife wasn't in the room to see Nick's car. I know what color she would want. Oh, is she there now? Is she anywhere in the area? Should we call her? She's, hey, Michael's wife, come look at this car. Come check it out. Hurry. Richard says, I have Ingersoll Rand dual hammer impact, but they do not cover the air ratchets, etc., like they used to. So I buy a $25 cheapo at Harbor Freight or elsewhere, and they last a year. That's kind of where I'm at with my 90 grinder and the straight grinder. And you all know I use these things daily. The sanding, in fact, there's the one hanging on the air hose right now. That's one of their $25. I think it's like no 20, maybe $23. They do have a cheap grinder, and those are like, I mean, like $10, $11. I don't get those because those have the airflow. I think it turns the airflow around, which slows the tool down. So the airflow, I want it coming out when you squeeze it. I want it coming out the head, blowing up through it. That is a better tool for me because you get more power out of it. If it goes the other way, it has to loop back and come back out the back. So I spend a little bit more on the just a little bit more on the Harbor Freight one upgrade. Harry Buckman's chuckling. Michael, I am good. She's in the shower. Well, hey, we can remind her to watch it later. Terry Keith, I like Dawn's color on car also. Thank you, Dawn. Yes. Well, and don't forget, when you're looking at paint colors, you can't go wrong with Gulfstream Aqua. Gulfstream Aqua. Can't go wrong with that. I'm telling you. It's not blue. I don't care what you all say. It's not blue. This is blue. That car's blue. That car will be Acapulco blue when it's done. But that's Gulfstream Aqua. Yeah. And so is that. So there. And that. Gulfstream Aqua. It's not blue. Okay. Doyle says, Nick, are you going with limo tint on back glass and rear windows? I was thinking something similar to that. I'm like, man, I'm guessing he's going to tint all the windows. I would want to tint them all the same shade. I know that much. I wouldn't want to have, the back ones darker than the front ones for sure. But, yeah. I lost my train of thought. Oh, that's the other thing. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, Nick. I have good ratchets, snap-on, and cheap sockets in case I weld them behind something. Drop them behind the bench or throw them away on accident when I clean up. That's not a bad idea. That was one of the other things I want to talk about. You've been seeing that I've been using my little GoPro here to make kind of first person shots, and I think that works really well. Everybody seems to like that, and I can't always do it, but this little camera, I'm getting more and more comfortable with the GoPro. What I want to show you is when you see my time lapse videos or time lapse segments now, I've been using this thing, and let me tell you, I want to smash this camera. This camera is a $40 Chinese piece of junk. Okay? You see them advertised, and I thought, you know what? I'll take a chance on it because it's cheap, and I don't care about having it for multiple functions. I just want it for time lapse. So I've been using it for time lapse. Sometimes you open it up, and it'll show that the battery's dead. Sometimes you open it up and it won't register the memory card. And to do all this, everything is in the bottom of the camera. So the battery and the card and all that stuff. My other camera, which is probably on the tripod right now, is a Canon. And when you open it up, you have the memory card right here that you can just pop out, take with you and do your thing. And the battery is on the back, and you can charge it really easily. So this thing, it has this cruddy little battery thing, and half the time it doesn't even charge. So again, it's one of those things where you get what you pay for. But what I was getting to is as I'm doing these things and I'm trying different cameras. I've got my little Osmo camera that I use sometimes. Um, I made a purchase on the another GoPro, another GoPro, and hopefully that's going to help even make some of the videos better in effect, because these little cameras are fantastic. The difficulty is you can't see what's going on. Like, you can see the screen on the back, it'll light up. You can see what's going on, but you can't see up front. So the later version of GoPro has a screen here. So if I was wanting to talk to the camera, you know, I don't know exactly where it's aimed. I can guess and get close, but with a little screen on it, now I can improve upon that. And also, this is a kit that I'm buying. It was gently used off of eBay, and it comes with a bunch of accessories. So that should be here this week as well. So I'm looking forward to getting that going. Terry says, Barry, you're in denial. Yeah. Talking about tools, I guess. Nick, I have them the factory green because the one-piece side glass comes green. I could tint and probably will. Yeah, you're talking about, the green, the light green tint on the windows. Yeah. Wait, are you talking about I'm in denial because of my car not being blue? Look, this is blue. That's blue. That's blue. See? That is not blue. Now you can see the difference. Gulfstream Aqua. Gulfstream Aqua. Rick, will you be painting Slither when it's all together? That's not the plan. My focus is the sheet metal work and getting all that together and working properly, and more than likely, somebody else is going to paint the car. So that's where that's at this point. But good question. Richard says, Barry, have you ever tried the Harbor Freight 240-volt spot welder? No, I have not. I've looked at them. I have mixed thoughts on those spot welders. For one, it's a Harbor Freight tool, so I'm like, For what it does, I don't know that it's going to do what I want it to do and trust what it does. That's why people sometimes ask, why don't you use a spot welder or this and that? I like plug welds. I like to fill them in and know that it's got contact, it's burned in, and it's solid. I hate the thought of guessing on whether the spot welders are actually doing what they're supposed to do. Rick says Chinese and piece of junk are synonyms. Michael, any thoughts on the Arc Captain plasma cutter? No thoughts at this point. Now, I'm glad you brought that up. I have not talked to Arc Captain about their plasma cutter. Currently, I'm still using the Yes Welder plasma cutter that they provided to me, and I'm very happy with it. I am. It's working great. I don't know if Arc Captain, and the thing here, let me tell you this. People have been buying, and I get a kickback if you buy something from Arc Captain or Yes Welder or Evolution Power Tools, my chop saw, my little. I put discount links in my descriptions of all the videos. So Arc Captain gives a bigger discount. Yes Welder actually gives a slightly bigger discount to my viewers than Arc Captain. So I still have people buying stuff from my Yes Welder discounts, which is great. The Yes Welder that I have, the welding machines, they're good. The plasma cutter works great, so I have no issue with that. I'm suspecting at some point Arc Captain is probably going to try to send me a plasma cutter to do a test on it, or if I requested one, they would probably just send it to me. The other thing, I get all kinds of offers, and I post these on Facebook. I may get some goofy offers for teacups or a silverware set or a hammock, just weird stuff that they want you to promote, right? I have gotten in the past 2 weeks, I think, 3 or 4 different welding machine offers and another plasma cutter. Not the brands that I've been using, some other brand. And the plasma cutter, it probably does what it's supposed to do, but I kind of pushed them away and said, look, I already have a plasma cutter and it works. So I don't know that I want to mix this one into the thing either. And they're trying to, and it may not be as good. I don't know, but they're also trying to. They're wanting to pay me to promote their plasma cutter, which I'm kind of like, I'm on the fence about it. But I will say, the Yes Welder plasma cutter works great. And if I get the opportunity to try out the Art Captain, I'll probably do a review on that as well. But right now, I'm not. I'm not too worried about it. So that's all I've got to say on that right now. Robert, I talk to my camera pretty often, but I have to edit those parts out. uh, yeah, editing is fun. Editing is fun. That's a part of it that I say it's fun. It's not fun. I when I'm talking about this, so I have to put in when I edit, put in the footage from this camera, and then I put in the footage from this camera, and then I put in the footage from my other camera, and I build a kind of a database file with all of those in there. And there might be, depending on what I'm doing, 15, 20, 25 segments. And then once I start editing, I have to figure out, okay, do I want to use the footage from this one or this one? Because it's showing the same thing, but just different angles. And a lot of times I'll go back and forth on that. I'll show one shot at one angle. Like if you looked at the last video, I had this little GoPro looking up when I was taking off that bump stop on the frame rail. So some of the footage was there. And then as I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There's not enough, they can't see what I'm showing. So I'll cut a segment and I zoom in so that you can see what I'm talking about more specifically. Then I might go back to the other one. And, it takes a lot of thinking, honestly. And there's many times, like the last video that I did, I think I probably spent about 5 hours just sitting at the computer, moving, slicing, cutting, fitting, doing all those extra things. But I think it pays off. When I make these videos, I try to put as much detail in and show everything that I'm doing. And I know a lot of people appreciate that. They really do. So that's why I keep doing it. People can get some education out of it. It helps them out in their project, all the better. Richard, I talked to my camera like it beat a redheaded stepchild, then ate my lunch. Yeah, I don't do that. I don't do that. Robert, if you can carry the spot welder, it isn't big enough to do structural welds on cars, but would be good for tacking in place. Yeah, I don't. That's why I'm really uncomfortable with the whole spot welder thing. So I have a pic from Mike. Charles says he sent me some pictures, but they're not showing up just yet. So I'll have to wait on that. Here in the meantime, I'll give you a flashback of something Robert cooked a while ago. While I'm uploading a picture. Why not? Okay, that's enough of that. Let me see. I'm gonna find something I can delete. And I have this other picture coming. And this is from Mike. And he says, this is blue. So here we go. That is blue. That is blue. But I'm going to call that silver blue. But that is blue. That is definitely blue. And once again, I'll just say this. This is not blue. It's Gulfstream Aqua. Everybody say it. Gulfstream Aqua. Yeah, that is nice. That's sharp. That is sharp. Nice car. Let me get back up here. 68 Orange Crate. Your editing is great. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, and her scrambler says, okay, so he sent me the AMX. Yeah, those are cool cars. I mean, they're definitely unique and very cool. It's kind of like, you've got the Camaros and the Mustangs, and I think in some ways you look at it, and not to downplay anything with AMC. Uh, Obviously, like stuff like their Matador was not a good looking car, but the Javelin, the AMX, even some of the Rebels stuff, and it's almost like you look at model kits and you have Monogram and what was it, Revel or whatever, and some of them would do crazy stuff with their model kits. Like you'd have these custom one-off type of things, and that's kind of the way I look at some of the AMX or AMC stuff. Like they just went in between what would be the Mustang and the Camaro, and they found a niche in between those two. Um, just like the Javelin and the Rebel and all that stuff. So they're cool cars. I like them. To Madre says nice AMC. That's a new name, I think. Richard, you just need to test on the same amount of layers and gauge before doing the actual car. Um, no, I'm not sure what that comment is. Use the same amount of layers. Talking about for paint. Nick says, "Man, I love AMC's." And Robert, nice to see an AMX these days. Yes. And To Madre says Rebels were bad. Yep, bad A's. That color you can't beat. That red, white, and blue. I mean, come on. Colin, have a good one, everybody. Thanks for the advice. I'll let you know how it goes when I find out more or try some new springs. Okay. Well, glad you were here, Colin. Doyle, what? You didn't like the Marlin? Well, I like. No. But then again, I didn't really care for the Charger fastback either. It, eh, not like the first Barracuda, meh. The glass window Barracuda, I don't care for that. Sorry, hate me if you want, but I don't care for that car. Doesn't look that impressive to me. Richard, almost bought an AMC Mark Donahue Javelin '87. Had a lot of special options for AMC. Yeah, I've talked about this before. We had at the junkyard, I believe it was a Mark Donahue AMC at one time, and the whole right side was smashed on that car. I remember that. I remember that car. It was black, and I think it had gold accents on it, and it had the like an air deflector on the roof in the back that went across. It was a pretty cool looking car, even though somebody had like pancaked it into a wall. And I know I don't remember. It might have been a 4-speed. I can't remember exactly. I know it had like would they have a 390 or something in it, and it it was just a really unique looking car, and we had it for a little while. And I told my dad, I said, that car's special. We should be doing something with that one, and so he sold it. It's gone. See ya. Just like we had a Cyclone at one time, like the Torino, I think it was, probably '69 Cyclone. I think it was Cyclone, and that got sold. And yeah, okay. So we got some pictures here. Um, Let me hold on just a second. From Charles. Let me download that. And I have to delete that picture right there. So Charles had said that these are some, I think, paint choices. Let me pull down this comment. Hold on just a second. Why did that not come down? Okay. Slither's primers of choice. Surface primer, we got Deltron. Epoxy primer is PPG, looks like, EPX1901. And epoxy red oxide, DT870, and EP, can't quite read it, 869. So, looks like a nice setup there. Yeah. And I know there's more to go. There are more to go on that. Let's see. Michael. Oh, okay. So Richard says spot welding test first. Yes. Okay. Now I got you. Because the comments aren't always caught up with where I'm at in the conversation. Michael, lightning is key. I really appreciate when it back and lighting. Sorry, lighting is key. I really appreciated when you went back and lit up the bump stop removal. Okay, yeah, I try to. I have some lights that I use, and I probably even need more. So I always try to incorporate the lights. Rick says if Char wants a nice paint job, he should he should try really hard to convince you to paint it. This way, we all know it'll be done right. Yeah, we've talked about it, and I think everybody knows that paint is the one thing that stresses me out the most. It really is. Brian, the Hurt Scrambler and other Ramblers of that era and body styles were good looking in my opinion. Yes, I agree. Scrambler. So that was, yeah, you're right. I agree with that. Nick says all I know is I wish it would have went ahead and not and Nick, you're skipping words here. All I know is I wish it would have went ahead and bit the bullet, I guess, on the 69 I could have had every time I see Slither. This was my dumbest decision date passing that up because I just bought the 68. Well, it's still a great looking car, Nick. I wouldn't say it's a bad decision. Her Scrambler says, Brian, I'm restoring one right now. Okay. That's cool. Rick, now I got an advertisement trying to send me to drug rehab center. What kind of information are these trackers gathering on me? Yep. You never know. Nick says bit, yes. Charles Busby, Lenko spot welders, $1,600. Yeah. Yeah. Adds up quick. And something like that one is probably bigger that you have to have on a hoist because you're not going to hold that thing. You got to have some sort of spring mechanism, counterbalance or something to control that. And Richard says Rick Gain, or they know what you don't know, or they know that what you don't. Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I had friends of ours are building a barn dominium. Okay, and it's pretty cool. It's all black, and it's barn dominiums are typically made out of steel, and you build your infrastructure with your housing and shop and all that stuff, and the some other friends went to look at it, and they may have said in the conversation black barn dominium. They didn't do anything other than that. Next thing they know, they're getting ads on their Facebook feed for black barn dominiums. That's how much they're listening to everything that we're saying. Everything that we're saying. Nick, Is Slither a Dearborn car? Those were painted gray primer if it mattered. Yeah, I think it's a California car. I think. Steve Reed, I'm ready to start Bob. Okay. Rick Stevenson, my dumbest decision was not to buy my buddy's 66 Shelby. He had purchased it used in 67. Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah. That would hurt. Richard, helpful discussion on spot wells tonight. Thank you, Barry. You're welcome. Rusty's restoration. It was a great job with Nick's help with checking how the inner fender wells are indexed. I struggled with that on my 65. Yeah, and I'm glad, I posted those pictures on Facebook, and I even mentioned Nick in the video. So Nick got a shout out there that he had sent me some pictures, and we talked about how it needs to be positioned and the fact if you're putting in the Quadrolink that you need to cut some of it away for the assembly, for the Quadrolink setup. And so I was looking at it, and I described it in a video that's like, it looks like it wants to do this, but the reality is you have to make it come back and, go the other way. And that's some of the stuff Detroit Speed just doesn't show you. They just show that guy beating this thing up in there and starting to weld it in. It's like, well, did it really just go like that? No, there's always something that has to happen before you, what? Oh, look, test fit. That's what they did. I know they test fitted that panel before they just knocked it in there and said, here it is, weld it in. All done. Charles, San Jose, we are not doing concourse restoration, but we'll lean that way when we can. Talking about Slither, by the way. Steve Reed, I'm ready to start body work on my 65 Mustang Fastback, but I had knee replaced, so it's going to be a bit. Yeah, that's not fun. That's not fun. Richard, my biggest mistake was not purchasing my uncle's 69 Roadrunner 446 pack. He wanted to trade it for a Vet, and the one he got cost $6,000 on a good day. 10 years later, I could have sold his car for $100,000 to $200,000. Yeah. Nick, it probably did go like that for Mark. Actually, he's the man. Okay. Oh, you're talking about the, for the, well, the thing is, though, he's probably done hundreds of those. Probably. Talking about doing the Detroit Speed tubs. He's probably done hundreds, so already knew what he had to do to get it up there. You're talking about things that you regret maybe not buying, and I've talked about it. I regret selling my '72 Chevy short bed 4x4. Never should have sold that truck. It was a factory forestry service truck, so it had a factory brush guard, the tow hooks, auxiliary fuel tank. Pretty cool truck. And originally it was yellow, and I had that when I was in the military, and I never should have sold that truck. That was a bad choice. Everything else that I've parted with, I'm not disappointed with. I had a '69 Camaro, Hugger orange, black stripes, 350 automatic factory AC car that I bought. I think it was back in 2001. Friend, it was from Arizona. In fact, Roger helped me pick that car up because the car was from Arizona and it had been sold to somebody, I think in South Carolina, and then I bought it off of eBay. And we went up there and drove that car back here, and I put disc brakes on it. I think I put a headliner in it, and it needed a paint job. In fact, the hood for that car is what you see is in the back of the garage. So every time you see the long shot behind the lift, that hood is from that '69 Camaro, because I bought another hood for it because that one had a slight buckle in it. Otherwise, that hood is perfect. There's no rust, nothing in it. And somebody was over here one day looking at something else, and they saw the Camaro, and they said, "Hey, you want to sell that car?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." they said, "What do you want for it?" And I gave them a number. And they said, "Oh, I'll get back with you." I said, "Oh, okay." Yeah, they got back with me and they bought it for that number. So I was pretty happy with that, and I don't regret selling that car. I mean, it was cool, it really was, but at the time, money was needed more than anything else. When young kids and stuff around the house, so that was okay. Nick says, "Yeah, I was just talking specifically banging it in there like a peanut character, and voila, done. I miss my 69 every time I see one. It reminds me of my grandpa." Okay, I get it. I understand that. That's why I have the Model A. That's why I still have the Model A. Doyle missed out on my uncle's 67 Fastback 2 plus 2, 289, 4 speed. I thought $700 was too much in 1977. One of my regrets. Yeah. The other regret is nothing I could do about it was my dad had his 69 Mach 1, 351 Windsor, 4 speed, Acapulco blue, and it got sold before I could ever do anything about it. It only had 16,000 original miles on it when he sold it. Yeah. Still not happy about that, but I can't do anything about it, so it's not worth fretting over. Um, but yeah, that's probably the only two cars. Um, I will say that there's one other car that I want to have back in a way because it was a car that I had when I was in the Army. And it was a 67 um, Belvedere or Plymouth Satellite, Plymouth Belvedere. And like I've shown this picture before. This is my 72 Chevy 4x4. That was me and my grandmother. And you could see on the front there the factory brush guard, factory tow hooks. And of course I put a 6-inch lift kit on it and 33 by 1250 tires. Um, yeah. So I missed that truck. But I also had a 67 Plymouth Belvedere that I had when I was in the Army. I towed it back home, and it sat up at the junkyard for a period of time, and then my brother decided to sell it, which is kind of weird because he didn't have a title for it. I still have the title for that car, so I don't know. I don't know if he sold it and somebody else was going to take it and uh, make it a stock car or something. I don't know, but it was a 67 Belvedere. And then just to show you this as well, this was up at the junkyard. This would have been 1980, probably spring of 85. I know I've shown this picture before, but I'll just show you again. This would have been spring of 85, I think. And that was my 72 Chevy long bed uh, that had I put a 4-speed in it, and I put a step-side bed off of a 55 or 57 Chevy truck. And then behind it is my 70 coupe that I had that I converted it over the whole front end to a 69 front end. That was the first Mustang I ever built right there. And that one's long gone, but that was a 70 6-cylinder 3-speed manual car. That's probably like the only picture I have of that car. And so it was a running and driving car, but never. My dad never got it. He never got the title cleared up for me. So it ended up. I think my brother crushed it after years later. But it was a nice little car. Unfortunately, it's granted it was a 6-cylinder, but it was still that was the first Mustang I ever built or rebuilt. Let's see. Her Scrambler sold a 68 AMX number 183 for $1,500. Sent you a SC pick. Okay. I'll pull that up in just a minute. Let me delete this one. And this is the picture he sent me. Yep. Red, white, and blue. That car's got some rust, but that's okay. I'm sure you can. I'm sure. I would hope you can still get parts for those. I'm sure you can in some way, shape, or form. Brian, in 1979, I missed out on a 69 or 70 Hemi Cuda for $1,700. 36,000 miles. At 17-year-olds could not scratch the money together. Wow. Ooh. Oh man, that car's worth a fortune today. Rick, Barry, when you answer the phone, do you say hello 3 times like you do when you start the video? No, I don't. In fact, I rarely answer my phone. I get a lot of calls, a lot of spam. I just don't. I don't hardly even. I don't. Unless your number's already in my phone, I typically don't answer it. But that's a good question, Rick. Rick Stevenson, my buddy, was asking $25,000 for a Shelby back in 2001. Yep. Nick, man, I love old Mopars, but those trucks, whew, gets me going. Yeah. Bob Shoemaker, my biggest misdeal was when a guy brought in a Boss 429 head with drop valve and didn't want to fix it and offered me the car for $3,500. Always deals when you don't have the money. Yeah. Yeah. Marco Lopez, that model truck brings back memories. I had a 68 short bed step side. Yep. I've had a bunch of those trucks over the years. I mean, long beds, short beds. In fact, if you look over there, there's a picture of a short bed 69 or 70 short bed that had a 454 in it. I bought it with that engine already in it, and I redid it. We painted it, and then I sold it. Couldn't hardly keep the tires from spinning. Nick says Bob wins. Good gracious, yeah. Terry Keithley, I missed my 62 F100 unibody custom cab with wraparound rear window. Short bed came from Alpharetta, Georgia. Yeah, those are hard to find. Those are hard to find. You know, I'm always looking. I see stuff all the time on Facebook now. Cars that aren't the everyday things. Like I saw a 60, what year is it? 65 Buick Riviera with the clamshell headlight deals. The car looked fantastic, and they were selling it for like under 20 grand, like 16 grand or something like that. The car looked amazing. But there's been a bunch of that stuff popping up on Facebook lately. Nick says, well, the Hemi Cuda would have been worth more than the Boss, actually, now that I think of it. Dang, yeah. Rick and I passed on an all-original Shelby GT350 back in 1999, $44,000. Only thing was they didn't have the original aluminum transmission. Yeah. Yeah. Marco Lopez, car prices have gone crazy, crazy. They have, but I'm finding stuff now popping up on like Marketplace that seems really reasonable. You know, I've got, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I've got a friend who has a 65 coupe. The car is in incredible condition. It probably needs a repaint, which I don't really want to do. But he bought this car. He got it cheap. V8 automatic, perfect interior, had good tires and wheels on it, and they're doing a little bit of work to it, and they're talking about selling it. And I may have to look into it a little bit harder, just because I know that it's probably worth more than what they're going to ask for it. But I can't bite onto it yet, and I don't know that I fully will, but one of those things where it kind of shows up and you say, oh, I don't have the money. I don't have the space. We know how that is. Robert, I'm seeing a drop in prices of older cars now, less disposable income for the guys that would rebuild them. Yep. That's what I'm saying. The prices seem to be going down on some of this stuff. Marco, I bought my 69 Cougar 4000, which I thought was a great deal, running and driving 351 Windsor rebuild. Yeah, that is a good price. Richard, the huge collector face has been winding down the last 10 years. All the stupid rich people already overpaid for what they wanted. Yeah. Rusty, I let a 69 428 Q code Super Cobra Jet with a drag pack go for $1,500 in 1991. The one that got away. Oh man, yeah, that's not. No, that's not good at all. That's not good at all. Okay, I'm getting to the point where I have to stop. I can feel my voice is starting to get rough, and I know that's usually my cue that it's time for me to move on. And I have to see if I can catch any. Well, the Steelers are playing tonight against the Browns, so everybody has to cheer for the Steelers. Go Steelers! Go Steelers! Just because I know somebody had asked earlier about this, I'm going to post this. So, if you feel like, and I'm not asking to send me anything, whatever. Let's see if that popped up. Okay, I put this up here. So, if you wanted to send me something, again, I've had people send me stickers. I've had people send me patches for their military units. Um, I've had just minor things, which is cool. I have no problem with that. I've had Rick Stevenson send me coffee, which is fantastic. Again, because somebody asked earlier, that's the that's my PO box. That's my PO box. So if you are wanting to send me a Christmas present, that's where it goes. It goes there. Anyway, um, let me see. Okay, I'm going to call it a night, and I will be back next week, next Monday, and I have to let y'all know. Although I'll have a video out this week, one way or another. Next week, I got called to jury duty. That's going to make it very difficult to put something together. But I may have something. I don't know. We'll see how the week goes. But as it is, that is it for tonight. And I will see you next Monday. But until then, take care of yourselves. See ya.